Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. My name is Cindy. I just want to say right off the top, I so appreciate all of your support. The comments, the thumbs up, the views, all of it helps, circulate the video, and hopefully more people will be drawn to the Soulprint community because I think we're a pretty great community. Alrighty. So lots been going on. I think it's time to time travel a little bit. And let's just hop over to the first couple months of, of 2025. So maybe January, February, March, somewhere in there. Because, I think that everybody talks about the shifts and the changes that are going to happen, and it's not going to be just, flowers and champagne. I mean, there are institutions that are clearly being displayed right now as needing significant repair and overhaul. And so that's not going to happen just because or just easily. Hang on. All right, once again, Atlas thinks she's a guard dog. So I mean, it's not going to be an easy thing to just add things to the Constitution or write laws that pull back some of the damage that has been done by the Supreme Court. And I repeat, if you people have the people out there who are in blue states, you should be getting a hold of your representatives and telling them to stop screaming about Biden and start screaming about that Supreme Court because they are an absolute embarrassment to your country. But anyways, I digress. Let's take a look and see where the United States is in the first couple of months of 2025, shall we? Good. I'm going to take a look at these ones that came flying out first, and then we'll carry on. Okay. All right. This is not going to be, an easy transition. A lot of people are going to be very worried, very concerned, very upset. They're going to feel like their whole country is falling apart. But really, when it comes right down to it, what it is a recognition that the voters have and need to continue to pay attention to elections, not just the top ones, but all the way down the ballot, I guess, to dog catcher, okay? This is about people made the choice to stand up, all right, and defend what they felt was important and needed defending. Okay, now remember, we're looking at January, February, March, okay? So this is around the time of the inauguration and kind of going forward, okay? There is going to be, in those months, and possibly even a little bit prior to that, fortunes that are going to reverse, and frankly, fortunes that are going to go upright. One of the things that you're going to see is this sort of mercenary behavior, this over focus on money and what do I get and how much of it do I get. You're going to see that starting to shift, but it's not going to be a finger snap, all right? It's going to take focused, continuous work, not only by the government, but by the people who do the voting, the people who you elect, and already start to hold responsible for the things they're doing and saying and voting on. Ultimately, there's going to be that feeling of success. Okay, but it's down the road. It's hard work. It's like I'm gonna liken this to cleaning out a closet. Okay, there are times in your life where you can clean out a closet simply by going into the closet and you pull a few things off of the hangers, maybe you pick some stuff up off the floor or off that shelf, and the closet's been cleaned. There are other times when the only way to clean that closet is to yank every single thing out, evaluate it, figure out if it does or doesn't serve, put back what works, get rid of what doesn't. And that's the process that the United States is going to be going through. And, the Democrats are it looks like I'll double check on this, but it looks like the Democrats are going to hold the House and the Senate. Apparently, like, the Senate is not going to be the easiest thing in the world to hold, like, it's just because of who's up for election and who isn't. But they're going to hold it. They're going to have all three chambers, if you will. But it's not like there's just a couple things they have to do. There's a huge amount of work to be done. Let's see how that goes. United States Energy early 2025. United States Energy early 2025. United States Energy early 2025. Sorry, I don't mean to giggle. That's who we're starting with. We're starting with the greedy king, the wannabe king, the guy who wants to be king. We know who that is. He will still, in the early part of that, be yelling and screaming about how it was stolen and he's not going to give up. But the tricks, the trickery, all the nonsense that goes on around it is going to be dispatched quickly. People are not going to want to hear about it anymore. They don't want to deal with it. And I think the courts are going to have no tolerance for the kind of shenanigans. Literally, I mean, God almighty, Carrie Lake apparently is still just finished trying to sue somebody, got tossed out of court. I mean, 3.5 years later, give it a break. But it doesn't feel like it's going to drag. It feels like attention is going to refocus to other things that are more important. Okay? That's where we're going. People are going to finally start hearing the messages about the things that need to be reviewed and looked at. And even though for a lot of people, it's going to feel a little bit scary or a little bit unnerving. Because of course, I think humans maybe are built to really resist change. We want things to be the way we're used to them and the way we like them. And even if they're not working, at least we're familiar with them. But the message is going to get out that these changes need to take place. You're going to see some attempts to redistribute the wealth So I don't know what this means. Maybe there's a new tax bill that comes out, maybe a new budget, but it definitely feels like there's going to be some attempt to balance um, some of the real some of the things that are really unbalanced in terms of um, that 1% of the population who owns 50% of the wealth, and the middle class who is really, really struggling, and the lower class who is really, really, really struggling, and that upper class who is just sailing around filling up their pockets and bank accounts. Okay. It looks like you've got the page of swords here. It feels like um it's it it's going to not be a piece of cake to get some of this stuff changed, but with hard work, it will get done. There will be a forward movement and forward momentum. Now, this is interesting. The next three cards. This is talking about the energies of the Republicans, those who are blind to the light, to that energy as it shifts and moves. They are going to become very worried and very concerned. And do not forget what happens to a trapped animal. They come out fighting. And this is not going to be any exception. The problem is that they're not going to know how to go forward. It feels like in some ways their hands are going to be tied. Um, and they're going to be trying all of these different ways, and they're going to try to confuse stuff so that it doesn't, it sort of doesn't look as bad as it is. The fact is, at some point when who falls, they're going to be floundering around because they put all of their eggs in his basket. And if he's not around, it leaves them with no real clarity about how they're going to go forward. And it leaves, frankly, a lot of the rich donors sort of scrambling to find their next most viable Republican. And it just doesn't feel like that's going to be kind of an easy thing to do. Looks like there's going to be some wannabes making themselves known, but it's like their energy, the Trumpian bullying and bombastic attitude is not going to sit well. People are going to just like stop. I just don't want to hear it. Right? It's going to be that sort of a resistance. People are just done. They see that there is another 4 years where some stuff can get done. And I have to tell you, it feels like by time March of 2025 rolls around, everybody is already starting to think about the midterm, because there's going to be the recognition that they have to hold everything in as much as they can on the midterms so that the hard work can continue. Okay. So this is not going to be done. It's like, okay, yay us. What's next? You've got to keep staying involved and moving forward. There's too much to lose, right? I mean, the United States has simply too much to lose. And the reality is that if they fall, there's a lot of other democracies that then are at risk. But remember that the people who want the best of America to surface and hold are far stronger than those who are trying to destroy it. Now, there's going to be like a lot of concern, a lot of talk, a lot of emotions, um, reacting to the things that need to change, right? You've got these 3 cups that have fallen, but you're being backed up by the ones that stand, okay? And so that's going to bring news, emotionally reassuring news, because even though it feels like stuff is being taken or lost, that movement forward is going to actually create the kind of prosperity, the kind of settled energy that will continue to unfold going forward. Let's not forget, like this Pluto and Aquarius deal, it's like around for like 30 years. So, think back 30 years ago when Pluto and Capricorn came, and the shifts and the changes that went on, and almost over time how they became more and more accelerated and more obvious and perhaps even out of control. So you're going to see that same thing. There's going to be this step-by-step shifting towards a very different kind of attitude and understanding. Ultimately, you end up with the Sun. Okay, so ultimately, you have the nine of Cups, you have the Sun, and you have the Ace of Swords. So what you're going to see is significant conversations, um, legislation coming down to try to re-establish a rule of law that is far more in keeping with the sort of the intention of your Constitution. The Constitution was never meant to be stagnant. It was meant to sort of evolve. But when you have hyper-conservative people running around with power, they twist it. It's like some days they have to follow the Constitution to the letter and exactly what it meant then. Then when women didn't have the vote, but that's okay. That's where they're going to go. And then other times, it's like they twist and turn it and knot it up in a way so that it suits their agenda. There's going to be significant work done on starting to correct the wrongs, okay? So, as you roll into 2025, you've got amazing things to celebrate. And there's also sort of a recognition that, okay, that was great. Now it's time to pull up our sleeves and start the hard work again. Because there's one thing people have learned is that in certain circumstances, precedent doesn't mean anything. Written laws don't mean anything. Established norms don't mean anything if somebody is out to destroy them. And so as you're moving forward, it's going to be time to strengthen them and in some way sort of make them bulletproof. That's what I know. All right. Thank you very, very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Pendulum Friday. Please include your questions in the comment section below. Thank you so very, very much for being here. And for those of you who are still listening, Don't forget, this coming Tuesday, there's going to be an amazing video released with Kathy Beal of Professional Aquarius YouTube channel. And she's amazing. So take good care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.